Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of TechRise. I am Desiree Vargas Wrigley, the Chief Innovation Officer and Executive Director of TechRise by P33. This week, we have our Women in Tech competition. So one of my personal favorites, we have amazing women taking the stage to talk about their businesses. And just like every other week on TechRise, we have 3 to 5 founders come on and pitch for 4 minutes, followed by 4 minutes of Q&A with judges. And then real time, the judges deliberate and decide who's going to win somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000. Today's $25,000 gift is generously contributed in part by Get Cities, an initiative to support women, trans, non-binary, and just gender equality in tech throughout Chicago and now in many other locations across the country. So we're so grateful for their partnership. And as always, we're grateful to Verizon, who helped us initiate TechRise many months ago, a year ago. So for those of you unfamiliar with TechRise, we are an initiative designed to really support diverse founders and women founders from across the Chicagoland to help all the way from idea stage to exit. So we have founders that meet with mentors before they come on stage, they pitch their businesses, and then we support them with programming for many months to come after that. Last year, we had an incredible year. The founders that took the stage, 120 some of them took the stage. Collectively, they'd only raised $8.8 million. Some of them had been in business for 3 years. And within the 7.5 months that TechRise was live last year, those founders went on to raise an additional $10.6 million. And we deployed about $1 million in grant funding. So about a 10x multiple on the money put in. And this year, we're expecting that to rise by another 20 million. So, it's definitely worth supporting. And if you'd like to get involved with TechRise, you can go to techrise.co. And if you want to apply to be on TechRise, we would always love to have more founders, especially women, trans, and non-binary founders. So go to techrise.co/apply. And with that, I'm going to welcome our judges onto today's stage. So first we have Quiñones. She's head of platform and operations at BBG Ventures. She is a former fitness instructor and startup operator turned VC. Prior to joining BBG, as head of platform and operations, she led growth and customer success on the founding team of the startup Withco, developing the company's early product and customer experience. She's a powerhouse operator, brand specialist, growth marketer, and Stanford grad who's also spent time at SoulCycle, The Assembly, and Everlane. Her personal mission is to help founders build beautiful, delightful, and sticky products that meet clear human needs and support underestimated communities. Amber, it's so great to have you back on. Thank you. And then next we have Nassir Criss. He's associate at 68 Capital. 68 is a $20 million Midwest-based venture capital firm dedicated to investing in Black, Brown, women, LGBTQ+, and disabled founders between the coasts. They use capital connections and community to support scalable and investable tech and tech-enabled companies with a clear road to profitability. An operator at heart, Nassir has helped scale several early stage companies and got his start as employee number 3 at a venture-backed insurtech company in New York, where he learned what it takes to build a high growth team, product, and go-to-market strategy. Naz, it's great to have you back on. And he was one of our judges for the finale last year. So nice to see you again. Thank you. And then our final judge is Ellie Bahrmasel, sorry, I'm just stuck for a second, CEO of Further Faster Venture Studio. Throughout her career, Ellie has leveraged human-centered design and systems thinking to advance collaborative initiatives in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. From venture-backed startups to Fortune 100s, her prior work includes projects with the Kennedy Forum, Comcast, Mayor Rahm Emanuel. And she and the Further Faster team spend their days working with early-stage ventures and the investors who back them, designing and de-risking the execution of building technology that can transform the world. And Ellie and I are also on the steering committee for Allraise here in Chicago. So we've gotten to know each other really well. And I'm going to make a plug for her because her business is awesome. And if you are a founder looking for help with product market fit anywhere in the country, you should tap into the Further Faster team. All right. So with that, I'm going to welcome, oh, great. Good to see your face. Okay. And with that, I'm going to welcome our first team onto the stage. We have SonoHug and we have Dhanu Thiyag.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening to SonoHug's pitch today. So unfortunately, there are several women who do not get proper prenatal care and then unfortunately are faced with the sad reality of having a fatal demise. And as you can see from UNICEF Executive Director, they believe that with high quality monitoring, a lot of this could be prevented. So there are about 2.7 million stillbirths estimated every year, and about 70% of them occur during the labor process and 30% occur prior to labor. But about 98% of these deaths overall are in low and middle income countries where standard of care fetal heart rate tracing monitoring is not readily available. So what fetal heart rate tracing monitoring allows OBGYNs to do is essentially to see fetal well-being. We can do that by looking to see how much the fetal heart rate tracing moves, to see if there's any increases or to see if there's any decreases. And that allows OBGYNs to intervene to see if we can help prevent these fetal demises. And this is done as a gold standard in high-income countries continuously throughout the labor process, and then about once or twice a week in the third trimester for high-risk pregnancies. So SonoHug is a low-cost remote viewable attachment for existing Doppler to monitor fetal heart rate tracings. So what it does is in low and middle income countries, in many locations, the fetal Doppler already exists. And our attachment helps go into the aux cord to essentially transmit the data onto a Bluetooth device, where then physicians, nurses, midwives would be able to view this fetal heart rate tracing to then hopefully be able to make an intervention to help prevent fetal demises. So our target market size is approximately looking at all LMIC pregnancies, as well as any high-risk pregnancies in high-income countries. So fetal Dopplers are already available over the counter for less than $50, and our product additionally would be about $50. This is a reusable product, however, so it would not need to be newly for every pregnancy, but it would be able to be used for the duration with the clinics. So our main partnership is hoping to be with LMICs, where we can partner with nonprofits, government, non-government organizations, where physicians, advanced practitioners, nurses would be able to utilize this project with patients. Additionally, in high-income countries where a lot of patients have difficulty accessing consistent care, they would be able to use this for at-home monitoring. So our competition, there aren't many products out on the market here, but the main advantages of SonoHug is that it's a low cost, so it's readily available for LMICs as well as low-income patients in high-income countries. It's compatible with existing technology, so it's a very sustainable product. It would allow for implementation of standard of care throughout the entire world. It provides accessibility to heart rate tracing monitoring, which is the only way physicians can determine fetal well-being, and you can also continuously use it over time. So our main milestones and where we particularly need our help is in terms of being able to first test our final product with LMICs and providers, and then working to get IP as well as develop a business plan where we can build these partnerships and go from there. These are our team members. I'm Dhanu, one of the founders. I'm an OBGYN as well as a biomedical engineer. We also have other members who are computer science, biomedical engineers, as well as someone who on the finance side. So in terms of our startup needs, we're hoping for funding in terms of developing multiple prototypes so we can do testing, doing market research, getting a business plan, and then product material. And this would also help us be able to find partnerships and then legal services to develop business projects. So SonoHug for us, it's more than just a project. It's something that could save 2.6 million lives by implementing fetal heart rate tracing throughout the entire world. Thank you.
Great job, Dhanu. All right, judges, you want to come on? Amber, will you kick us off?
Yeah, happy to. And thank you so much, Dhanu, for the great presentation. I honestly just learned a bunch and I'm going to do some research, I think. But I'm curious, what is your go-to-market plan and how are you planning to essentially craft a wedge into this international market with the understanding that $50 might mean something extremely different in other countries, especially the developing ones you've been talking about?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what we hope to do is by forming these government and non-government partnerships in terms of trying to go into the processes that they already have in terms of going out to the clinics, going out to the hospitals, and hopefully with funding such as this, we would be able to decrease the per product cost of our product and then be able to make sure that everyone has access to it. That's our ultimate goal in terms of trying to bridge that gap where patients currently don't have access to this type of monitoring elsewhere.
And is this something that those organizations would be covering directly, or are you ultimately selling into just the hospitals themselves? I'm trying to understand who the key decision maker is here.
Yeah, so I think in terms of that, we haven't been able to build enough partnerships to sort of see where that would go. Ultimately, the goal would be that we could sort of stay as a nonprofit that could directly go into these hospitals once we've built those partnerships. But if we figure out that being able to get access to this product would be easier if we sort of were able to sell to a different party in terms of these partnerships, then we would be more than happy to do that, because our ultimate goal is really to help save these lives and provide better monitoring for mothers.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. The presentation was incredible. Can you share some more details on what the manufacturing process looks like right now and where you're going to be sourcing the materials from?
Yeah, so right now, honestly, a lot of our materials have just been bought individually from different companies where we can sort of get the different wiring, the different boards. Ultimately, our goal, hopefully once this chip shortage is done, is to sort of make our own board that then we could sort of go out from there and start manufacturing.
And will that technology be some sort of proprietary or innovative resource that you'll look to patent, or will it still be taken from existing pieces in the market already?
Yeah, so all of the coding and all of from the coding on the board as well as the coding on the application, all of that is original and is something that we're hoping to get patented. We just haven't been able to get the resources or funding to sort of pursue that path yet.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Ellie.
Dhanu, thank you so much for your work and today's presentation. I'd love to know a little bit more about the current state of the prototype. Have you had a successful functioning prototype? And can you tell us where you are in that prototyping cycle?
Yeah, so we do have a successful prototype. We've been able to sort of test it on ourselves since we don't have, we have an IRB formed, but nowhere to actually test it at. So it does work. But our main hope is in terms of trying to pursue funding or partnerships so that we can be able to use the IRB that we have to go actually test it with patients, providers, and advanced practitioners.
Excellent. And I want to circle back to something that my colleague Amber raised in regards to partnerships. Does anyone on your team have experience developing international partnerships, working with government organizations and NGOs?
Unfortunately, we don't have any experience. We're trying to reach out to other nonprofits that do have that experience so that we can sort of tap into their knowledge base. So we have been able to meet with several nonprofits that are located in different areas and with our personal network. This is sort of my ultimate goal in terms of pursuing this long-term as a biomedical engineer and OBGYN to do medical devices worldwide. So I'm hoping—
I gotta cut us off. I'm sorry, but you can finish answering in the chat. But great job, Dhanu. And next, I'm going to welcome on Pigment International and Patricia Andrews-Keenan.
Good morning, everyone. So glad to be here, and thank you to TechRise for the support they've given us in this project. Journalism and a love of writing are steeped in my family. As a kid, I worked with my uncle who ran our hometown newspaper. I hold a BA in journalism and was editor of my college newspaper. I was a corporate communications executive in the telecom industry for decades. Most importantly, I've been a lover.
Patricia, sorry, I want to slow you down for a second because I think we are missing your slides. Do you have them?
Oh, sorry.
No worries. I just want to—
They are not showing.
No, I just didn't want you to miss out on the opportunity to share visuals if you have them. So go ahead.
Oh, no, I absolutely do. I am sorry. I've done something wrong here. I forgot to hit something.
Didn't mean to throw you off your flow, but before you got too far into it.
Okay, here we go. That always throws me off when I mess that part up.
No worries, but you can restart. So when you're ready.
Can you see it?
We can, yes.
Okay, just a second.
Perfect.
All right, I'm so sorry.
No, don't be. Go ahead and restart.
All right, my name is Patricia Keenan. Thank you to TechRise for your support through this process. Journalism and a love of writing are something that have been steeped in my family. As a kid, I worked with my uncle who ran our hometown newspaper. I hold a BA in journalism and was the editor of my college newspaper. I was a corporate communications exec in the telecommunication industry for decades. Most importantly, I've been a lover and collector of Black art all my adult life. Pigment International is a Black female-led multimedia arts platform founded in 2018 for Black art enthusiasts. We purposely picked international for our name because we know people love Black art across the world. Our tribe are Black art lovers. These pictures are shown from our Expo Chicago event last month. According to Forbes magazine, more collectors are going online. They are looking for a community, a reliable resource for information. We delve in what we call the Black art ecosystem, and we provide that community and that resource. We're a content provider. We take the content, we create original content, writers that we contract with. I'm a writer myself, and we disperse that content to about 10.2 thousand people through weekly newsletters, to a digital pageable magazine, through a podcast that we're developing. We founded Black Fine Art Month to also present programming, and we have a YouTube channel. We believe that beautiful art should be showcased in a beautiful publication. So we kind of went against the trend and actually created a printed publication in addition to the digital that we do. It's an award-winning, oversized, glossy publication. We presented 3 issues so far, and we plan to present more. Last month, we also attended for the first time the Venice Biennale, what is known as the Olympics of Art, one of the oldest art shows in the world. And we documented the Black presence there, and we want to put that in a magazine. Stuff we've done over our less than 5 years. In addition to the Biennale and publishing the magazine, again, I said we founded Black Fine Art Month because it did not exist. We partnered with every major art show in Chicago, Expo Chicago, the other art fair. We have an upcoming partnership with SOFA. We've upgraded our website. We began with exhibiting artists, and we've taken Black artists to Miami, which is one of the largest art shows in the country during the month of December. We produced over 100 hours of programming and the podcast that we talked about. Our revenue model goes around advertising, both print and digital, magazine sales, our e-commerce site, and we do art sales and commissions. We believe that we have opportunities for growth by expanding those sales. We can go to museums and be part of their retail shop. We can go to hotels, and we can go to other art shows as well. We came up with a cute little thing last year where we started publishing a gossip sheet where we came out of Expo Chicago last month, and we kind of just spilled the tea about everything that happened. It went over really well, and we think there is an opportunity to do that as well at other art shows across the country and across the world. We want to get into NFTs because we have proprietary artwork from our artists. And of course, we told you about the Biennale art magazine and the podcast launch. So that's what we would look to do with any funding that we receive. Again, it's all about a community, a tribe, and at Pigment, we believe we've created that.
Okay, it's time for the judges to come on and ask some questions. Nassir, can you, perfect. Will you kick us off?
Hey, Patricia, thank you so much for this. I think this is awesome. Quick question. So as you're looking to feature Black artists that are in various different places, right? Instagram, YouTube, they have various forms of content. Can you talk through some creative ways that your team is thinking about going out, getting in front of them and getting their work to be featured on your platform?
Absolutely. So first we tackle that here in Chicago with the partnerships with Expo, Intersect, all the art shows here, the 57th Street Art Fair that's been going on in Hyde Park for 50 plus years. So we meet artists there. And what we find is artists find us, they want to be a part of the platform. They want to be written about because once you document these things about artists, they can never be taken away. So we figure writing is one way to help them build careers. So I'm going to New York in a couple of weeks. There are some shows going on there, one coming in from Morocco, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go talk to galleries. I'm going to talk to artists. I'm going to bring back the stuff I find and share it with our constituents on our newsletters.
Awesome, thanks.
Ellie, you want to go next?
Yeah, Patricia, thank you so much for your work and for your presentation today. I'd love to dig into your revenue model a little bit more. I see that you've got a diversified set of revenue streams. And I'm curious if you were going to focus in on, if you had to pick just one of those revenue streams to focus in on, which one would you pick and why?
Okay. Well, I think advertising is always good because, I come from a media background as well. And so I've worked at newspapers, I've been the advertiser, I've been the person trying to sell advertising. So I think, much like the social media platforms, Facebook, Meta, all of them, I think the advertising stream is kind of the through line, and then probably following that with the magazine.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Patricia. Thank you so much for the presentation. My question for you is, what do you anticipate as your core customers' journey with your company? So how do they discover you? How do they stay a part of the community? And what is like the hook and what keeps them engaging with you?
Certainly. Well, we believe in a lot of partnerships. So I have been immersed in the art community in Chicago for a while. I've served on boards at arts organizations. I've done PR and media for arts groups across the country. So for me, and coming out of corporate communications, networks are everything. So when I came into this, I brought a network of probably 6,000 or 7,000 people into it. So what brings people into it, I think when they see the publication, I wish you could have it in your hands because it's a beautiful publication. So once you see that, I think you get kind of hooked and you get interested. And then we try the information we share. So we don't just share things we write. So we read the New York Times and we know X is happening. So we try to share that information as well. So we become kind of a source that people know they can come to and find the things that they're looking for about the Black art ecosystem. Or, we told you that one of my best friends just became director of the Museum of Art in New Orleans. He's a well-known artist. We were the first people to tell that. When Denise Gardner became the chair of the Art Institute, we were on the media list and we gave people that information as soon as it happened. So being of the moment is important. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm a nonprofit too. So we've received funding from foundations as well over the course of our 4.
I have to cut us off, but Patricia, great job. And thank you, judges, for your great questions. And next, we're going to welcome on Borislava Baeva and from MyStrongCircle.
Thanks, Desiree. Okay. I'm Borislava, and I'm the founder and CEO of MyStrongCircle, and we're an innovative multi-fitness studio membership platform. Even before the pandemic, people had many options to exercise, and as a result, they chose variety. 17 million people in the US alone exercise in multiple gyms and studios. So on Monday, they might do a spinning class, then hop to a boxing gym on Wednesday, and end the week with a relaxing yoga class on Sunday. If you were one of those people, paying and booking for fitness classes is a workout by itself. Most likely you're juggling multiple memberships, class packages, or other aggregator apps that limit the number of classes. So a much simpler solution would be to have one membership and one booking app with unlimited classes to your favorite fitness studios. And that's how MyStrongCircle works. Our members handpick their favorite studios and get unlimited classes, which they can easily book from our app without having to browse for hundreds and hundreds of options on other aggregator apps. We operate in a vertical that's recovering fast from to its pre-pandemic levels, when it generated $34 billion in revenue in the US alone, and there were 74 million people exercising in gyms and studios around the country. We consider our addressable market the 70 million multi-club consumers. We have one major competitor that offers only limited classes to its members. And as a result, they have to supplement their workout routine by buying directly from studios memberships or class packages. They also have a very well publicized strained relationship with their studio partners because they only pay them a fraction of their retail prices. And despite achieving unicorn status, they only capture a fraction of the multi-club users, which leaves a big opportunity for a more innovative approach to aggregation. And that's what we're doing. We're building Fitness Marketplace 3.0. By adding unlimited access and personalization, we're building a marketplace based on how people seeking variety want to exercise. With that, we'll be able to achieve a higher monthly membership revenue, which we estimate will be $180, of which we keep 20%. We just launched in the Chicago market with the beautiful web and iOS app that has multiple integrations with leading class scheduling softwares. And at the core of our product is a proprietary pricing mechanism, which is not used in any other vertical or marketplace. We're actively growing our studio partnerships, but we currently have 24 studio partners, and we have seen a great acceptance rate from them, primarily because our payouts are in line with their financial goals, unlike ClassPass. And because of that, they've actually been promoting on our behalf for free. And that has helped us this month to attract our first members. In addition to that, we're also attracting members by local partnerships, events, and some paid and social media ads. We're a team that's passionate about fitness. I'm the founder and CEO. My background is in corporate and finance, and I spent the last years of my career as a finance leader at Live Fitness. So I have come with strong ties to the fitness industry. Carrie is a digital marketing strategist, and Amy is a studio partner manager. We're launching in Chicago on a shoestring budget. If we win this award, that would help us to attend even more events this summer, put more money towards paid advertising budgets, and do one more API integration, which will help us attract more studio partners. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, and now the judges can come back on, and I'm going to have Ellie kick us off.
Great, Borislava, thank you for your presentation. And congrats on launching in the Chicago market. I know it's always exciting to get a product out there. And I'm curious, when you talked about your competitor only acquiring a very small amount of the market, can you tell us a little bit about how you're going to do a better job of acquiring that market?
So I think, what our biggest advantages are studio partners are promoting on our behalf. I mean, we've had owners of studios talking directly to people that they know they can convert to a full-time member, which helped us acquire one member like that. We have studio partners that are sending email blasts to a similar group of their customers that they know that they can convert to full-time members because they know they exercise in multiple studios. So that would be our primary advantage.
Great, thank you.
Amber, you want to go next?
Yes, happy to. Thank you, Borislava. I would love to hear a little bit more about your proprietary pricing mechanism and how you think about the edge cases of people who end up taking classes every day and genuinely take advantage of the unlimited model, and how that affects, I guess this is like 3 questions in one.
Yeah.
How that affects your partnership conversations.
So we have had those discussions. Ultimately, I would be happy to provide more details on that proprietary pricing mechanism and how we pay studios, which is very different than ClassPass. So I'll just say that, but happy to provide more information offline. And I know you come with this background in fitness, so we don't have the risk that ClassPass had when they offered unlimited classes, meaning basically dilute our margins or even like being margin negative because of those high users. But again, we have those conversations with our studio partners, and because we're just launching, they're giving us a chance, and we're trying and see what the usage looks like. But I think that because we offer those bundled memberships, like we are going to attract members that have very diverse workout routines. So maybe someone that's fairly active, but they go like a few times a week to a cycling studio, but only once a week to a yoga class, and we'll do the reverse. So at the end, the average user or a member for studio should pretty much equal to what their members are doing and not be diluted on a per visit basis.
Thank you.
Borislava, thank you so much. I'll go quickly here. So just product question. As you're building out these API integrations, I know that a lot of local gyms and studios in different cities have their own apps. Are you having to build a one-to-one API integration, or is it a blanket that fits into all of them?
It's about, so most of our studio use, and I had the logos of the companies as class scheduling software. So even though they have an app, that's usually built by the software that they use. The dominant software used by boutique fitness studios is MindBody, but we have integration with MindBody and ZingFit and Mariana Tech, and we want to do Club Ready and Wellness Living next. So it's not one-to-one.
Got it. And I didn't see any technical background on the team slide, but are you contracting that work right now? Or are you looking to bring a full-time developer in the future?
So we're outsourced that. We have a great partner in India, Cabo, that came referred to us from another marketplace here in Chicago, of a very established firm. But we are planning to raise a pre-seed later this year, and that would be first a marketer and then a developer, someone with technical background.
You got to cut us off, but great job, Boris. All right. And next we're going to invite Dr. Natasha Holmes with And We Still Rise. All right, I think we're ready when you are.
Okay. If you have ever attempted to look for a therapist like the 40 million people in the United States last year, you know that the search is daunting. Call, text, email, maybe get a response. We know that some of the biggest barriers to finding a therapist is finding someone with availability, finding someone who you can afford to see, or better yet, takes your insurance. And 3, particularly for folks of color, finding a therapist who looks like you or who you trust to provide culturally informed care. So if you were one of those 40 million who searched, chances are you did not find a therapist, because 70% of folks who look for a therapist do not find one. And those access numbers are even worse for folks of color. My name is Dr. Natasha Holmes. I'm a psychologist. I'm also the founder and CEO of And Still We Rise. We're a mental health company that was established in 2018. We provide therapy, consulting, and life coaching services. We're tackling some of the biggest barriers to care for folks of color, specifically finding a therapist with availability who takes your insurance and is culturally informed. With COVID and an increasing number of therapists not taking insurance, this problem is only getting worse. Our solution is Bridge. Bridge is a platform that connects therapy seekers and culturally informed, social justice-oriented therapists. It is a white label web-based platform that plugs into a business existing website. It helps folks looking for a therapist find someone who's culturally informed. It's also interconnected. And so what I mean by interconnected is that when a therapy seeker goes to, let's say, Therapist A website, they'll complete their profile. And if Therapist A happens to be unavailable for whatever reason, they'll still be matched with Therapists B, C, and D, who are also part of the Bridge network. First, the therapist completes, First, the therapist completes their profile, basic demographic information, as well as information on how they practice. When the therapy seeker goes to the website of a provider in our network, they're prompted with 6 questions that assist them in the matching algorithm. Then the therapy seekers are matched with 3 therapists who overlap most with what they're looking for. This process reduces search time for folks looking for a therapist and eliminates much of the administrative burden that therapists often take on. And of the 50 therapists we've spoken to and the several hundred in my immediate network, we don't know of anyone else doing this. There are some competitors, they're either not developed, that have platforms that aren't developed for therapists or aren't culturally informed. We have a B2B SaaS business model. Our plans are subscription-based and start at $19 a month. That's our basic plan. With over 200,000 businesses in the US, there's a tremendous market size of almost 124 million. The total market, well, actually, I'll pause there. There is a tremendous market opportunity. The go-to-market strategy can be broken up into 3 phases. So that span over our initial 15 months. That first phase focuses on social media marketing and colleague referral programs. There's one Facebook group in Massachusetts, for example, that has over 3,000 members. So we'll start there. We move on to conferences like the Group Practice Owner Summit, and we'll final shift to sponsoring. I am here to present you with an opportunity to invest $125K, which gives us a 15-month runway and gets us to 1,000 subscribers and $600,000 in revenue. The money will primarily be used for marketing and partnership development. Currently, however, we are in the phase of developing the product, so the 25K from today will be allocated to that. We have an experienced and diverse team. I'm a psychologist with 10 years experience. I have grown and still rise over tenfold in the last year. The co-founder of Bridge is Niso, who is my fiance and sold his first startup at 19. And he brings experience from McKinsey as a consultant. We also have a full-time software engineer, CFO, and marketing specialist. Now is the right time because of the massive social impact we can make. The exciting technology, we have a proven market and a proven experienced action-oriented team. Thank you.
All right, judges, you can come on. And Amber, I'm going to have you kick us off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natasha. This is really exciting to hear about, largely because I've experienced this maybe every couple of years whenever I move. So very much understand the problem. I want to dig into your sales pipeline. And am I correct in understanding that you're on market right now and currently gathering new users?
We're not currently gathering new users, so we're in the process of developing the platform. We've put a couple grand into the development of the platform. We have like the bones of it. We're still working on some aspects, but yes, we are testing it out, like doing some beta testing to see how it goes.
Got it. And when you think about the targets that you're planning to acquire out of that 100-something million, how many are within your first maybe 10 to 15 folks that you're trying to pull in? What revenue opportunity do you see there? Sorry if this is confusingly worded.
Well, tell me if I'm answering your question. So the first group of folks that we're really probably going to be looking to target is in the New England area. So we looked at markets that are like super saturated with therapists and with therapy practices. And so we would likely start there. And does that get at what you're asking, or is there additional?
Yes, 100%. It's a Friday.
Okay, listen.
Great, Naz, let's have you go next.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Natasha. Just quick question. So I'm trying to understand your value proposition and how it's different uniquely from like a Psychology Today, for instance, right? So I understand the cultural nuance, but in terms of the feature set and how users are going to be able to interact, how is it different from some of the platforms that already exist?
Yeah, good question. So Psychology Today is like a search engine. It's like you can, like Google. So everyone can put up profiles from there. Some of the key differentiators is that we vet our therapists before they're a part of our network. So that's an important piece to it. I would also say, I'm trying to find the part of my slide where I kind of talked about this, but I can't find it right now. Well, I think that's an important piece. We also have some capabilities where folks are able to, beyond the basic plan, like connect with the therapist before they actually come on as clients. So when you're reaching out to the therapist, let's say, okay, this person looks like they're going to be a good fit. They take my insurance, they have openings, but I actually want to talk to them for a minute before I get in for a full appointment, where you have that capability on the platform. And that's not something that you can do on Psychology Today.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie.
Hey, Natasha, thank you so much for this. It's always a delight when you can find a therapist who looks like you and who understands you, and that's not an easy feat. I hear the problem really well articulated from the patient end of trying to find the right clinician, but can you tell us a little bit more about the unique set of problems that the clinician experiences that this solves for?
Yeah, I can probably tell you quite a bit about that. But what I will say is that since COVID, for example, in the last couple of years, there has been a flood of folks that have come in for services, and a lot of therapists are just stretched very thin. Many folks who are in private practice, they don't have a whole like admin team working with them or supporting them or anything along those lines. So when people are reaching out, sometimes they have openings, often they don't. When they do have openings, they're not like marketing it on websites like Psychology Today. A few people use that, but a lot of people don't. And so there can be floods of folks coming in. And I think one of the biggest things that I think comes up for a lot of like my colleagues is this anxiety or concern about not being able to get back to people. And so this platform makes that easy. It being difficult to send out referrals if you don't have any availability, and we do that automatically by, if you're not matched with this person, we're able to match you with this person and this person. And well, I would say those are probably the the big things, and I see Desiree come back out, so I'm trying to speed up my talk. But
I'm just going to cut you off, but you can answer in the chat. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
great job. And now we're going to have our last founder take the stage. We have JOLT, and we have Paula Robinson.
Thank you very much.
I'll let you know when we can
pull up my slides.
It looks like you're good to go.
Good to go. Okay, I'm going to move this timer over. Good afternoon, and thank you. I'm Paula Robinson, and I'm the founder of JOLT, which is an urban EV charging cafe. The electric vehicles in the city are in all 77 community areas. A recent Northwestern study indicated that most of the public charging stations are on the north side and mostly white and affluent communities. And actually 70% of the public chargers are located in just 3 of the 77 community areas. So Black and Latino communities in the south and the west sides are charging deserts with no access to public charging stations. The adoption of zero emission vehicles is really a matter of life and death. The morbidity rate, for example, in Inglewood versus Streeterville has a 30% discrepancy. So Chicago is committed to moving beyond these types of inequities and innovating solutions for social justice issues. But part of what we're recognizing is that there is a huge economic opportunity for electric vehicles and charging infrastructure deployment. The urban auto emissions is really the public health crisis that no one is discussing. And the urban infrastructure really has a situation in Chicago where 75% of Chicago's residential market lacks garages for a private charging option. So public charging is a must. The solution is JOLT, and what we're looking at is the reuse of the city's existing and vacant real estate assets. This has occurred as all of these 77 communities have the benefit of new streets and sand offices, new police stations, new fire stations. And so the city has this inventory of these assets that we think can be used for charging infrastructure. We did a prototype with the city's program for Invest Southwest, and pictured at the top is a typical streets and sanitation ward office. Our prototype at the bottom demonstrated that we could take this office and literally convert this site to being a JOLT cafe. So you see now the modern version of what we call the comfort station with a solar roof. We've got the charging stations in the back and ample outdoor space. So a real amenity for the community. As a Black marketing executive, focusing on urban markets, I know that the Black and Latino consumer account for 41% of the gas-powered vehicle purchases. Currently, they account for only 12% of the electrical vehicle purchases. But auto manufacturers have pivoted towards electric futures. They're not going to let this market be left behind, and we should neither. The fact of the matter is that studies show that African Americans and Latinos are more concerned about climate and its impact than any other demographic. Our JOLT market is a part of the convenience and fuel retailing category. The coffee house is already that kind of new user community that you can build from, but we're going to also be able to talk to those customers with our JOLT app. And that is going to allow us to communicate, to push and pull information, to have data not only on the drivers, but the charging patterns, purchase behavior, and also to apply a fintech application that would allow us to use technology to circulate the dollar within the community. What we would do with the 25,000 is to develop a renewable energy platform as our community economic driver. And what we have the distinction of being is Bronzeville Community of the Future. That's a major grant effort from the Department of Energy that we worked on with ComEd and IIT. We are now needing to focus more on a community charging plan, and our assets.
I have to stop us and bring the questions on. So we're going to bring the judges on, and you can answer some of those topics that you didn't get to cover in the pitch in the Q&A. All right. Nassir, do you want to start us off?
Oh, thank you so much. This is incredible. I think we're seeing a lot of things happen like this in the San Francisco Bay Area. Obviously. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about, I didn't see much about it in the slide, is a revenue model. When you're looking at converting some of these facilities that might be in Chicago or adjacent geographies, are you looking on taking on some of that remodeling and some of that building, or is that something that you'd have contracts with the city to be able to facilitate some of those changes or renovations?
Both. We think that there are some facilities, particularly for this initial pilot, where we can also begin to build a model that could also be an equity model, possibly talk with other partners like Shell on how to do franchises. So we're really seeing this as a concept where we need to build in not only the platform, but the equity as well.
Thank you.
Ellie, oh, sorry. Oh, either one. Go ahead, Amber. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Amber.
Yeah. Hi, Paula. Thank
Hi.
you.
Thanks.
I will jump in with, I love this idea. And I also currently have nowhere, I live in Brooklyn, New York. I have nowhere to charge an electric vehicle, so I don't have one. But it's sort of a circuitous problem in that, how are you thinking about increasing the number of Black and brown folks with EVs in order to prove out the revenue model? It's like a bit of a chicken and an egg.
Yes. Well, one of the things we're seeing that there are some auto manufacturers that are getting it. And as a marketer, one of the things that we recognize is we've had this big gap. Either you were sort of a Tesla geeky owner who could afford it, but not really understanding what these minority markets car purchases are about. We are buying based on fashion and status, and your car becomes your office. Nobody is saying, hey, I want to come and pick you up in my Leaf. It's just not a part of the culture. And so as more manufacturers are talking to us, as we've been talking to them based on being involved with like the microgrid, but in the process, we are finding that we have a lot to share. And so my team has a strong consumer marketing background as well. And we have found that in working with a lot of these companies that already have white label solutions, they're telling us, stop focusing on that part of the app. We can customize what you need. What we need you to focus on is this education and communication. But we also really want to take that time to figure out how is this platform going to be an economic development driver. I think it can push harder.
Interrupt so Ellie can get a question in real quick.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Paula. My question, I hear a lot around your mastery of the relationships with key corporate partners and government partners. What I'd love to understand a little bit more about is how you've done primary research with the end users who'd be using your first location, and how you've assessed their needs and wants.
Well, interesting enough, one of our projects with Department of Energy was actually a last mile pilot where we were doing electric vehicle rides with seniors to transit stops. But our company was a bed and breakfast operator who, really had to make the decision of putting this in her garage and participating. And we got a lot of data and information from that process.
I got to cut us off. You did a wonderful job, Paula. Thank you so much. And now the judges have the very difficult job of going to decide who's going to win $25,000. And while you are off deliberating, I'm going to welcome our guest speaker, who is Terri Brax. Terri, if you want to pop on when you're ready, and everyone else go off. All right, Paula, I'm going to have you go video off too, so I can bring, thank you. All right, so Terri is the founder and CEO of Women Tech Founders and founder of Teacher Care. Women Tech Founders builds opportunities that advance innovation and leadership for women entrepreneurs throughout Chicago and nationwide. And through Teacher Care, Terri and her team of educators have guided some of the world's most celebrated leaders and supported nonprofits serving underserved children. She built opportunities that advance female-led innovation and leadership in underestimated communities. And her community building work has been honored by leaders including Governor J.B. Pritzker, U.S. Ambassador Rahm Emanuel, Senator Tammy Duckworth. She's a speaker on diversity, innovation, entrepreneurship, and community building, and was one of the founding members of DePaul's Women Entrepreneurial Institute. So Terri, so many things you've done. So nice to have you on. We've known each other for many years, but I don't know that most people that are listening, know that much about kind of how you started your career and why you started Women Tech Founders. So you want to tell us a little bit about kind of the origin story?
Absolutely. And I forgot to turn my lights on. I'm going to take 1 second. Okay, is that a little better?
Great.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I'm a little bit hoarse too. Right after last time that we talked, I started going downhill. I had been fighting something, but I feel like the whole world is fighting something right now. So
literally, figuratively, yeah. Politically, definitely socially. But we don't, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about supporting Women Tech Founders. So tell us a little bit more about the origin story.
So backstory, I have noticed with all kind of social impact entrepreneurs that they kind of have certain steps that they go through. And typically it starts by identifying a big problem that you care a lot about, and it gives you a passion to go and change it. And that passion drives you to figure out a profit model in order to help with your passion. And overall, the profits help you to get enough power to really make the bigger changes. And so, like the stories that I know you have had and so many others, my big problem was I came from a situation that there were a lot of challenges that were going on, childhood with a lot of violence that was happening, just a lot of challenges, diversity ways, all kinds of different ways. And so I was very committed to making sure that other people, kids behind me, would have a better life. And so I threw myself into doing work like with foster children and children that had no parents, children that were in need overall. And knowing that, okay, I need to build a profit model in order to help. I had just started my family as well, and I had some tech in my background. So it all kind of came together with teacher care. And teacher care is where we help private families and organizations like Mercy Home for Boys and Girls to find unique teachers that can help support them. And these are teachers that range all the way from an early childhood preschool teacher who is going to be providing like a nanny alternative, but really setting the foundations for the future, to a homeschooling teacher, to, as we went into the pandemic, learning lab teachers and special needs teachers, where we did a lot of work and do a lot of work as well. And the word spread, and we went nationwide pretty quickly. And the difficult thing was this was an agency model, so there's a lot of handholding. We do a lot of work, and I wanted to be able to scale this to help as many people as absolutely possible. So it was that scaling journey that took me into the startup community. And that's where I saw you and other women who were just doing these incredible things, but I only saw little pieces of you all, because at that point, less than 3% of all tech startup founders were women. And so if you recall, like you could literally go through a day and barely even see another woman when you'd be at the big incubators and that type of thing. So I was on this mission to find other women. And it was a little here, a little Miss Tech and a little the ITA. And I was meeting these incredible women. And then I was brought in to be a part of a think tank. And that's kind of like the room where it happened. And so when I came into that room, that is where I first really had a chance to hear your story. And as the work that you have done, really helping so many different families with medical needs. You were still at that point before Parachute, but it really hit me, the difference that you were making. And next to you was Katie at that time, Pench, and she was helping children with autism by building apps. At that time, there was nothing really to help them. And Faye, who was Cancer IQ, was sitting next to her, and it went on, and all these incredible women doing all these amazing things and changing the world. And yet, as each person was talking, the end of the story, if you recall, was WTF, not necessarily the
Women Tech Founder version, but the original WTF. Yeah.
Exactly. And so as I left that whole day, I realized that if I really want to be able to help in the biggest way possible, it wasn't necessarily for me to be working, in the micro level, but to be working, helping all of the women that I was meeting to scale their businesses. And how could I do that? And so that is what kind of took Women Tech Founders and started us off, and working videos and events was the biggest way at that time to be able to scale it. And the ecosystem at that point, you rarely ever saw a woman that was standing on a stage, let alone a panel of women telling their unique stories, and very diverse women that were each having their own perspectives and their own solutions. Like today, I mean, today's pitch was amazing. And I'm so happy to be a part of this, because this is exactly the work that we were trying to do, is to get those stories out. We didn't have pitches at that point because there were only 3% of all women were there. So we were at that point trying to make sure that other women even knew what was a possibility, and that we could share the lessons that we learned with them. And so as time went on, we started doing pitches and then awards and conferences, and really bringing women together in every way possible so that they could really connect and grow.
And it's such a vital role. And, I think we see something similar in the work that we're doing at TechRise. We started originally focusing specifically on Black and Latino founders. And now this year we've expanded to include all BIPOC founders and women identifying founders. But in those early stages of coming up with this idea, we've talked to investors and said we want to do this weekly pitch competition, which means we have to find 150 founders. And people practically laughed us out of the room. They're like, there's no way you're going to find 150 venture backable Black and Latino founders in Chicago. They just don't exist. And I think that you saw the exact same thing 7 years ago when it was like, I'm going to go find this strong group of women founders. And they're like, good luck, it doesn't exist. But then very quickly, I think you helped show the numbers were like 35% of startups in Chicago were founded by women. And without women tech founders, we wouldn't have had that visibility into really the fact that we are one of the most successful cities at founding women-led startups. However, we are terrible at funding and growing them. And that has not gone away. And so while there are more activities, All Raises here, and Get Cities is doing so much work, and we have Wisdom at 1871 and programs across the city, including at DePaul and at the YWCA Breed Love program, we are still not seeing the meaningful increase in venture funding or women getting from kind of pre-seed into Series A. So what do you think it's going to take? I know that I'm skipping and going off of script as usual, but what do you think we need to do differently as a city to make sure this changes? Because it's not changing fast enough. And visibility was step one, and you guys did an amazing job. Like, what can women tech founders, along with everyone else, do to take this to the next level of support?
I think we're seeing it happen right here today with what you're doing, and every week. And we're doing the same, being able to make sure that there is the visibility there, because for so long, when you're invisible, no one else is thinking that they can do it as well. I mean, we all know the importance of representation, and to actually get the funding to happen is obviously going to be the strongest way that we can empower all these women to make the biggest difference that they can each make.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It sounds like the judges are having a tough time deciding. So we get to have some more questions, and people, okay. Well, I'll make sure that it's over in 3 minutes, but so we might go 2 minutes over if you're watching. But the visibility is one piece. And, one of the data points I think we talked about last weekend on the show was that between seed and Series A, Chicago had $290 million in funding come to founders in our city. A meaningful percentage of that, I think was 16%, went to Black and Latinx founders, which is the most we've ever had by many multiples in any year previously. So we're going in the right direction. But part of what I think is changing, and something that we need to do a better job of supporting other women and doing, is that, of that 290 million, only $50 million was written from Chicago, roughly Chicago venture funds. That means 240 million was made up by angel investors and by VCs from outside of Chicago. And our city has 100,000 millionaires. I don't know what percentage of them are women, but I'm going to assume 30%. Like, if they were all writing $25,000 checks each year, we could make up a meaningful piece of that funding gap and keep that wealth creation here in Chicago. But like, what else do you think we can do with kind of ecosystem builders to help women founders identify and connect with more VCs and investors like the ones that we have today visiting that are outside of Chicago that are going to be more likely to invest? Like, what do you think we can do?
What we really focus on is building community, because unless someone feels like they're a part of a community, they don't have the wherewithal to kind of do what it takes to take that leap of faith. So a woman may have the millions of dollars, but she may not feel comfortable in the tech space. I think a lot of what we're doing in building this ecosystem, which it takes so many pieces of the ecosystem to make everyone advance in the way we want to, is to make it relatable. And so that's really what we're focusing on. We spent the last 2 years during the pandemic really digging into our community and asking, what is it that they want? What is it that they need? And so we've done a lot of research, a lot of discussions. And on November 9th, we're going to be, the 9th next month, we're going to be doing an announcement of what our new community is going to look like to help even further build that community tighter and bring in more people.
Great. And I couldn't agree more. Community is critical. And we've seen some incredible women who've raised tons of money leave Chicago, probably in part because they didn't feel as tied to the community as we would hope. And hopefully none of these women today, and you and I don't make that same choice. I'm not planning on it. I don't think you are either. But how can people get more involved in women tech founders?
They can go to womentechfounders.com. They can link me in directly. I'd love to talk to anyone about this. And those would be the best ways. So thank you so much, Desiree, for having me be part of this really exciting day.
Thanks for being here, Terri. All right, judges are back. That means founders are ready to bring you back onto the screen. So founders, come video on and unmuted so we can celebrate today's winner. As a reminder to the audience, all the founders are invited to come back on and pitch if they don't win today. So it's not a one and done experience, but today let's celebrate who is the winner and who's going to announce the winner.
Awesome. Desiree, thank you so much, and the entire TechRise team for having us all here. This was incredible. And founders, you all did an amazing job. We were talking about your problems and your solutions and your teams and everything that you put into this moment. So thank you so much. After deliberation and discussing as a pseudo investment committee, we decided that the winner today would be MyStrongCircle. Great job, Borislava. It was an awesome pitch. We really enjoyed everything that you said, and we're excited to see what you're going to do with the use of funds.
Thank you very much. Yes, I don't know what to say. Seriously, it was such a strong group of women, and I didn't anticipate winning. So I'm very, very grateful. I've bootstrapped this business until we're basically, generating revenue. I'm an immigrant that came here with $200, so that was hard, using up all my savings. So I'm very, very appreciative of those funds and the support. And thanks Desiree and Lucy and Sean for organizing and making this happen.
Well, congratulations, Boris, and to the rest of the women that pitched today. You did a tremendous job, and I couldn't be prouder of the direction that women in Chicago tech are heading, and we can't wait to support you with the other TechRise resources that we have and the other P33 resources. As always, thank you to our judges for the time you spent today with our founders. I know it means a lot to them to have you hear their visions. And then, of course, thanks to Verizon and to Get Cities for your continued financial support to make days like this possible. I feel so inspired going into the weekend. I hope you do too. And we will see you back here next week, actually on a Thursday, for the Future of Food Summit, which will be live from the West Loop. So it's a very exciting week next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.